It's really sad that Tomb Raider has fallen so far so fast because the people that are in charge of this series have absolutely no idea what their customers want. And now we are hearing that the live action show for Amazon is going to be reinventing the franchise on a massive scale. I have a few different things to show off, but before I get into the topic, if you enjoy the content I create, check out the links in the description, join the community in my live streams, and consider supporting through Patreon or YouTube memberships. Now, there are already several red flags waving surrounding this show. It seemed that Phoebe Waller-Bridge wasn't really focused on making an adaptation fans would love, but reinventing Lara Croft, reinventing this series, and ultimately modernizing it, which is a major problem. Nobody wants a modern Lara Croft. We want the badass woman we've always known and always loved, but the feminists in Hollywood don't. So, despite previous whispers suggesting the series was being laid to rest in one of its namesake burial grounds, work is still proceeding on Amazon's live-action Tomb Raider series, and a recent update from one of its production companies has given fans all but direct confirmation that the project will be yet another Hollywood bastardization of a beloved nerd IP. Now, I don't think a lot of people had a lot of high hopes for this because we've seen what Hollywood has done over the years, and yes, we've gotten a couple of good video game adaptations, right? Like the Mario movie, like Sonic, even like Fallout or Five Nights at Freddy's, but there have been a lot of duds. And when it came to Tomb Raider, I just had a feeling it was going to be bad. Then they attached Phoebe Waller-Bridge's name to it. Then they announced the actress, which was a mildly controversial choice. Then we found out some of the people in the writer's room and the debates they were having over the Lara casting. Yeah, none of that sounded positive. So, set to be written by the Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny star Phoebe Waller-Bridge and starring Dark Phoenix lead Sophie Turner, the UK's The Daily Mail reported in April that per their alleged insider sources, Lara Croft's small screen debut was outright dead and not going ahead, and that truly would have been the best news possible that they decided to shelve this project because I liked Sophie Turner. I thought she was good in Game of Thrones, but would she have been my first choice for Lara? Probably not. Maybe she'll end up being really good in the role, but an actress can only do so much when a script is bad, and that is the problem. Phoebe Waller-Bridge is a raging feminist. She has previously talked about the boob debate that they had on set, which just highlighted the mindset that was going on behind closed doors. She's a Tomb Raider, so she's incredibly fit. She has to squeeze through tiny rock crevices all the time. It is a different experience squeezing through a small rock crevice when you have larger boobs than if you have smaller boobs. There are lots of shows out there that don't hide the lesson that they're trying to teach us, and they get boring quite quickly. So, yeah, it seemed from the beginning they were never actually going to pick an actress that had a larger chest, which is a major problem. I mean, even Angelina Jolie, who's pretty busty herself, wore a padded bra when she was Lara to try to kind of make up for what she felt were shortfalls, and I really respect that. She wanted it to be more game accurate. The people behind it wanted it to be more game accurate, but now we're using the realism excuse, which is insane because how are you going to use the realism excuse when Lara fights a T-Rex? You know, there are problems with this type of argument, and really it just boils down to they don't want this to appeal to the male gaze, which is a fictional concept and a retarded one at that, because wanting pretty characters in your video game adaptations shouldn't be a problem. It's not sexist, it's not objectification. We simply want it to be accurate, and if people on a project don't want it to be accurate, maybe they should be fired. However, the rumors of the series' demise were, of course, subsequently marked as greatly exaggerated in September. But speaking on the former Jean Grey actress casting, Waller-Bridge declared, "I'm so excited to announce the formidable Sophie Turner as our Lara alongside this phenomenal creative team. It's not very often you get to make a show of this scale with a character you grew up loving. Everyone on board is wildly passionate about Lara and are all as outrageous, brave, and hilarious as she is." Press X'd it out. Get your artifacts out. Croft is coming. So when the team is automatically saying they are like Lara Croft, that's also another major red flag because we're going to have a little bit of self-insertion. Lara's probably going to have a few annoying quirks. She might cry a lot. She might be, kind of annoying. And, well, at the end of the day, this is not the Lara people want or people expect. And they can sit here and say all they want. Oh my God, they grew up loving this character. But I bet when we get the first teaser and the first trailer, never mind when it fully launches, that it's not going to resemble the amazing games that these people would have grown up playing. It says, though, while no real word has been head of the series since, one of its production companies, Story Kitchen, recently updated their official website to add an entry for Tomb Raider, and though said entry features only the barest of marketing copy, its limited word choice does give fans their insight into the series' direction, and unfortunately, it contains one of the most worrying phrases in all modern entertainment, and it explicitly states that far from just a single show deal, Story Kitchen's working agreement with Amazon will see them reinvent the franchise on a massive scale, interconnecting a new live-action TV series and video games into a unified storytelling universe. And we do know that they are working on another Tomb Raider video game. I would assume that they are just completely rebooting Lara Croft, and that means that the version we see in this show will be the version that we see in the new game, and vice versa, and that's really not what people want. People want to see a badass, beautiful bombshell on screen kicking ass and doing what nobody else will. We want to see the Lara we all know and actually love, and nobody wants them to reinvent the franchise except for a few raging feminists on social media who don't actually play video games and will not care about a Tomb Raider show. Though worrying on its face, it should be noted that as of publication, neither Story Kitchen nor Amazon nor Waller Bridge has offered any official comment as to what sort of reinvention they're aiming for, but we know how Hollywood is. We know the types of decisions that they've made in the past, and we also have seen what Crystal Dynamics has been up to. They were working with Evil Hat Productions to reinvent Lara Croft, and this tabletop game was actually canceled, which is funny, but the news surrounding it and the descriptions of it seemed very, very bad because it says raiding as depicted in the original Tomb Raider games and stories involves going to ancient tombs and historical sites of different civilizations and acquiring artifacts. It operates on the assumption of finders keepers that grants raiders with the means and the drive to claim ownership of artifacts, regardless of whether they have any historical or cultural claim to the treasure. Later games released in the franchise have started the work of addressing this by having Lara Croft acknowledge her past mistakes and try to understand and show respect for the cultures and communities she comes into contact with. She also worked to reform Raider culture and raise the awareness of her peers, which is absolute slop. But they did, again, cancel this tabletop game, so maybe this isn't the full direction they want to take it in, but initially Crystal Dynamics did greenlight this, and we also know that they're adding things like sensitivity warnings and trigger warnings to their games, so it just seems really bad right now, and I hate to see this happen because I want them to come out and create an amazing show, but I just don't have any faith in Hollywood. I don't even have any faith in most of the people in the video game industry. So, is this going to come out and be great? I suppose there's a chance, but it just seems to me that they're more focused on modernizing instead of actually making something Tomb Raider that people actually will love, and a Tomb Raider for fans. But I will be following this very closely, and if there are any more updates, I'll make follow-up videos. I'm sure I'll be talking about it again in the future, but for now, that's all that I really had to discuss. Let everyone know your thoughts in the comments below. If you found this important, informative, and entertaining, make sure to give it a like, share it, and subscribe to the channel. And if you didn't, give it a dislike. I appreciate your support either way, but I'll talk to you all again in the next video really soon.